Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Friday. Hello. Welcome to CraftStash Live. There we go. Should we start again? Do you think we can do it again? Hello, everybody, and welcome to CraftStash Live. It's Friday. It is the 4th of June already. How's your week been? How's your day been? I think it's starting to cool down, the weather for us here in the UK a little bit. It certainly is here. It's nice and cloudy. It's a bit refreshing, actually. We've had such a hot, muggy week. Let me know in the comments what you've been doing today, what your crafty plans are for the weekend. But we've got a really exciting live for you today. It's just me on my own, but I get to demonstrate for the entire hour for you. We have got amazing giveaways, of course, as well, so stick around for those because I will be announcing the winners at the end. Now, we're talking about Father's Day, but that of course covers all sorts of masculine makes. So what I'm going to be talking you through today is how to create beautiful texture that is perfect for masculine cards. We know what gentlemen are like. Very often flowers and butterflies just won't cut it, will it? With Father's Day coming up, it's the perfect excuse, but of course we have men's birthdays throughout the entire year, and even of course at Christmas we need to cover those cards too. So I have in my mind that actually if you're creating cards for men, just putting some sort of grungy metal or wood effects on there, that's all sometimes you need. You don't have to put a theme, so you don't have to go with the golf or the fishing or the football or whatever it may be. That's all sports, isn't it? I don't know, the beer drinking. Maybe you're not sure what the gentleman loves to do. Maybe you're not that close to them. Maybe they don't have a hobby in particular. Who knows? But this is going to work for all those men you need to craft for. And these are going to also, if you sell your makes, they're going to sell really easily as well because they are very, very versatile and generic. Now, I just want to show you a couple of things that we're going to show you today, just as a little teaser. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to get this faux metal sort of metal paneling look as such, or metal strip look. Okay, I'm also going to show you how to create your own little personalized wax seal. Can you see that's got a K in there? I'll show you in detail later as well, and of course some cards. So we'll start with a card, we'll go through some techniques, then we'll go back to a card. So I want to start first of all with our giveaway because this is really exciting. So come down, have a look at my desk, see these items here. This equals around about £40, just over £40 a bundle here. So we have got some papers, 12 by 12 papers from Craft Consortium that are absolutely perfect for the gentleman, but do you know what, I love these for all sorts. We've got the wood grain here. Now this may vary because the 12 by 12 Craft Consortium papers for some reason this morning with the discounts have been flying. I say for some reason, I've just said it there because there's discounts on them at the moment. I'll talk you through those in a moment. Then from my textures steampunk range, we've got an alphabet stamp and die set, and the stamp set has little cogs in the letters. I hope you can see those okay. They are really, really fun to use. So you've got those, and then you've got the coordinating dies as well there. Then, because we're going to be talking about lots of embossing, we have got an embossing pad for you, an embossing pen, which I'm going to be showing you how to use, perfect for adding metallic details to anything, and some clear embossing powder. So that is going to get you started on your embossing journey or add to your stash. So that is the giveaway. Now there's going to be 2 people winning this entire bundle during this hour, and then there's going to be a third chance to win as well, and I will direct you for where to enter for that third chance later on. But for the 2 of you who could potentially win at the end of the hour, all you need to do is comment, whether you're watching on Facebook or whether you're watching over on YouTube. In fact, speaking of both platforms, I'm just going to say a quick hello to some of you. I'll go back to the beginning. Lots of you already commenting. The first was Joan. Congratulations to you. Congratulations for being the first. What I was going to say is congratulations, Joan. I don't know if you've seen yet, but you did win from Ready Steady Craft on Tuesday. So I don't think we've had your address yet, unless Natalie's got it. So just in case you did win that, go back and check that out at the end. Bonita, hello to you. Hello to Beverly Miller, to Lynn Clifton, to Avril Vickery. Hi to you all. Christine Howard, Susan Fletcher, Teresa Trump, Suze Davies. I'd love to sit and read all your names out, but I would be here for hours. There's so many of you. I'm just going to pop to YouTube as well. I don't like to leave anyone out. Colour Play said gorgeous letters. Hello to you. Hello to Anne as well. But Benita, are you on both platforms? I've just seen your name pop up there again, unless there's two of you. To Elizabeth Fan, yeah, great giveaway. Same as Kathy Saltmarsh said too. Hi to all of you over there too. I'll try and keep on top of the comments as much as possible and answer any questions. It's probably easier if I go back at the end and answer questions. Unless I see them come through, I'll shout them out. I'll try and get back and regularly check comments throughout the demonstrations. Now, deals and offers quickly before I get demonstrating. We always have deals and offers, and we have got some whopper Father's Day deals today. Now, these ones are covering 4 areas for you. Okay, so I've got to get all of these correct and all the details right for you. Let's start with my textures range. So my textures Steampunk Collection, I decided this was going to be perfect for your Father's Day offering. So we are offering you a massive 35% off of the Steampunk Collection at the moment. Plus, there's already £35 off of the bundle as it is if you buy the entire collection. So 35% off. You do need a code for that. That is SP35. Jot that down. Hopefully, I think Hillary is in the background today for us commenting as CraftStash. Hopefully she can pin that code or a few of these items for you so you don't miss out on the offers. Now, we also have one thing I actually don't have to hand because I left it at home. There you go, there's my confession for the Friday, my mistake for the day. Hopefully that's the only one. I left my creative goodies at home. Now, have you seen the brand Creative? We have got 2 brands or 2 ranges within the Creative brand, and that's for the men and the textures one. So these are beautiful embossing folders. We have got gorgeous stamps and dies that are perfect for gentlemen. We have got up to 60% off of those, okay? That is an amazing, amazing value as well, so check those out under that brand Creative. Now we have embossing powders. Let me just show you. I'm going to bring you back to my desk so I can show you embossing powders. I love these. Now I'm just going to pop these away for a moment so I can show you the powders. Look at these. We have got clear, white, black, gold, silver. We have got different brands as well. Have you checked all of these out over on CraftStash? We have got different brands of embossing powders. There are so many colours. We have got Tonic, WOW, Sizzix, Ranger, Cosmic Shimmer, all of those. Now, there is a selected bundle of embossing powders and there's a lot in there. I've been and had a browse through the selection. If you are spending just £15 on the powders, you're going to be able to choose a powder from a selection of 8 for free, okay? So again, make sure you have a look at those because that is a brilliant, brilliant deal. And lastly, I need to bring you, while I've got you on my desk, to the last offer for the day that works so well with the Father's Day theme, and that's papers. Now, Craft Consortium, I mentioned papers earlier because this is in the giveaway. There are some essential papers over under the Craft Consortium brand that are all 15% off at the moment. They have been selling like hotcakes this morning and it's not difficult to see why. I think the 12 by 12 and the ink drops has sold out, but this one I believe is still available at the moment, the 6 by 6. I'm going to be using this in my demonstration. Check this out, okay? They are beautiful. This is like your alcohol ink. Oh, it's just lovely. We go through all the colours of the rainbow as well. Look at those. Aren't they absolutely amazing? So beautiful. There's kind of hints of gold in here as well. It's not foiled, it's printed in. But look at those, aren't they amazing? Think about how these are going to work so well with your masculine themes. And then, as another example, let me quickly flick through the wood papers. Now, there are metals, there are woods, there's the ink drops as well. There's lots of other textures. There's grunge textures in there. Oh, have I not opened this one up? Have I not? I thought I had. I thought I was already on it. Ah, there we go. Of course I have. I've used it. I was opening it the wrong way. Use this as well. Just saying, for your men's textures. Look at these beautiful wood grain pieces. They are going to last you such a long time. And what I love about wood grain, it's so neutral. You can use it for absolutely any theme. I mean, imagine Christmas, rustic Christmas with this. You can use it absolutely with the darker woods as well. So we're going through all the different coloured woods. You can see that's used because there's my scraps. So this is actually my pad. So there you go. There's just an example of 2 of the paper pads. They're all 15% off. No code required. They're already reduced. So just pop them straight into your basket and go ahead. Okay, besides just commenting, making sure you're commenting for the giveaway, I think that's everything I need to tell you before I start demonstrating. So shall we get on and have a look at what I've got to make for you today? So we're going to start with the card first of all. I'm going to bring it in. It's all not ready because I have to have my desk clear to show you things, so it's all in here. I'm going to be using the Steampunk Collection. Shall I give you a quick walkthrough the Steampunk Collection, because you may not have seen it at launch, and I just think this works so well for Father's Day. So we've already just had a look at the alphabets there. The stamp and the dies can be purchased separately, but they can also be purchased as a bundle, okay? Then we have the, I love this, the Type Sentiment stamp set. So that is a really detailed, absolutely gorgeous typewriter there. I'm just getting my cards ready so I can show you. And we have separate sentiments that you can pop in to the paper here if you want to. You can see how well used and loved mine is. I use it an awful lot. Let's find, there we go, there's an example of this typewriter being used there again. Can you see? And I've just popped happy birthday, and then I've used those letters in there. So then moving on, we have got the outline die for that typewriter. Now there's 2 outline dies for the typewriter, and I'll explain as I come to the second one why that is. This is the basic outline for this stamp set, okay? We have grey board as well. Again, mine is used, but you can get an idea of what's in there. We have got a clock in there. In fact, let me show you. There we go. There's part of the clock I'll be using in the first demonstration. We've got lots of cogs, lots of gears, lots of hands, but we've also then got the typewriter as well as a grey board typewriter. We have then got the dies for the clock, so that's the outer numbers, the numerals. We've got the cogs for inside that slots in here, and we've got all of these little pieces. Now that is much larger than you see on the packet though, okay, so everything works together beautifully. Which way am I going? That way. We have got papers as well. So as well as your Craft Consortium papers, there are papers in with the Steampunk Collection. Let me just flick through a couple of these for you. Oh, that is so steampunk, isn't it? We've got like a newsprint one there. We've got the rivets, the metal in there as well. Look at those. Okay, I mean, I know I designed these, but I love them. I absolutely love these for certainly. Oh, that's my favourite one. I've got 1 sheet left, I think, now. That is gorgeous, like old paper. So that's the A5 paper pad. Then we've got the reflection stamp set. If you saw the reflections from the very first collection that I did, this is just bringing that theme, that sort of switch them over theme into the Steampunk Collection. So we've got 4 separate stamps here. It's hard to see because the stamps are a bit dirty. This is like all pipe work. Then we've got the half clock, which works with the grey board and it works with the die as well. Then we've got the solid clock. Then we've got lots of numerals on that side. Let me just show you. So there's one example of how you can use that. Have I got another one? Oh, here we go. This is perfect. There we go. So you can see that's embossed. We're going to do some embossing in just a moment. That's that sort of plumbing work there around the outside. Of course, you can flip these because the circle is symmetrical. You can flip these over or round and you can use them on both sides. Anyway, so then we've also got the typewriter. This is probably one of my favourite stamp sets that I've created so far. One of, because I do change my mind on a daily basis for the textures collection. So we've got the typewriter here in 4 pieces again. So you've got half a typewriter, so you can use these on one side, and then you've got the borders that fit around the outside. Now let's see if I can find a really good example of how. So here's one example of how you could use that, using that outline die, because that outline die we saw at the beginning fits around this as well. It all works together. This fits on the grey board as well. This fits on the very beginning, so it works with the stamp as well, the very first stamp. So there's one, and here is another on how you could use that reflection stamp. So you can see all the details there. Look how detailed as well That's typewriter is. I love it. And I am going to be using the typewriter in a little while. That's the outline die. We've seen that. And then we've got the panel dies now, again, much larger than you've seen. Don't forget 35% off of everything. Steampunky today. Haven't cleaned my die out. That's really naughty. I need to do that because I need to use that. So pop that to the side. I'm using that today. I haven't cleaned it yet. Panic. So these dies are huge. They are the width of your A4. Look at me. I don't clean anything out, do I? That's terrible. But yeah, they're the width of your A4 paper. Let's just have a look. So we've got those typewriter keys like that. I will look at your comments in a minute, everybody. I promise. We have got layered cogs there, and I'm going to be using this die actually for my first demonstration. I may have to pop these out while I read some comments from you all. I think that's a good way around it, so you don't sit and watch me. Just trying to open this card. I'm not sure why I'm finding that difficult. And just here we've used the cogs behind the typewriter keys and one of those papers as well. And we've seen that one already. I think I've got a few duplicates in here for some reason. So that is all of the Steampunk collection. So let's get started. I did say that we were going to be using the panel dies first of all, which I have placed. Where have I just placed? Have I just put them away already? Blimey. There we go. Of course, it's going to be the last one that I take out. So I am just going to, for all of you, I'm just going to read out some of your comments whilst I pop the pieces out of my die. So let me see, where are we? I'm going to go right to the end. Kim Dixon, so Dixon's my other surname, so it pops out at me. She's loving this collection. Katie Harris says yes, she's also terrible at cleaning her dies. I'm glad you're not the only one. No, you're absolutely not the only one. Me as well. Teresa Trump, love the typewriter done in metallic. Thank you. These were all samples. So we've launched the Steampunk collection a while ago, but I thought for Father's Day this just works really, really well. This is a really lightweight paper that I've popped in here. So I think this is going to clean out nice and quickly. I haven't brought my brush with me today. Carol Lewis, oh dear, my bank card is in tears. Thought it was going to have a day off. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, obviously, but I'm sorry. Lots and lots of these items are falling into your basket. As if by magic, Carol. Yeah, I'm sorry. Lorraine Percy says, lovely typewriter as well. Thank you very much. So let me just finish popping these pieces out. I think I'm nearly there. This is the most exciting TV you've ever seen, isn't it? Metallics are good for mail cards. Yes, so I am going to be focusing on a lot of metallics for you today. These are going to be through embossing, so not bringing in your foil card, not bringing in your mirror card, but instead focusing on heat embossing. And I've got lots of tips and techniques for you as well. So we can emboss over embossing, we can do two-tone embossing, we can create metal looking strips as well. There's going to be so much. Hopefully you'll all learn something. Nearly there. There we go. Got one of the little pieces out. Oh, missed the edge pieces. There we go. So there's release holes on the back. Now, in an ideal world, I'd have my glass mat and I would just drop my die, like so, onto my glass mat. But that doesn't always happen, does it? There we go. Right, okay, let's get crafting. Let's come down to my desk so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to put my phone away. I will look back at your comments in a moment. So let's die cut this now and see how perfect. Oh, this is the keys. There we go. Let's die cut this. Let's just tape this down. So I'm just going into a plain piece of white cardstock, okay? And I'm going to run that through, if I bring this in, an A5 die cutting machine. Okay, it just fits because I wanted to bring in my smaller machine because I wanted to show you all how it fits in the smaller machine. They look like large dies. They are large dies, but I wanted you to all see how they work, even if you don't have the large A4 platforms. So bring that over, and that has all cut beautifully. Usually I'd run that back through, but look at this, I don't need to. I'm just going to gently peel this off. This is why everything stays in my die, because I always peel my paper away from my die so that the pieces pop out of the paper as much as possible, and then I'm left with everything in the die instead. So it's my own fault. So you can see, isn't that just wonderful? How easily does that cut out? And then of course you could repeat that over and over again if you wanted to fill a larger background. But okay, I'll clean that later. I will pop that to the side and I will do it at the end of the hour. Now with this set, we also have the outline dies as well. So the outline dies, I'm just going to pop around the outside. This is completely optional. You can choose to use this or you can choose not to. If you use them without the outline dies, as you can see, you get a really lovely aperture. That's just white on white and it still looks amazing. Imagine if you had a different coloured cardstock. So maybe you're using something like Hunky Dory's cardstock. And that had the, you know, the adorable scribble. It's white on one side, but it's brown on the other. Or I'm thinking doing a brown or a grey, and then you'd have that. So you'd have the drop shadow just inside. That would look amazing, wouldn't it? So that's the reason I wanted these dies to not have an outer border. But then we can add the outer border on if we want to, and I do want to for this one because I'm going to do some layering. Now let me take a little bit more tape. There we go. So I'd love to know, everybody, if you've got any heat embossing tips for anyone else who's commenting. Like I say, if you're commenting, you are automatically added to the hat as such to win one of the 2 bundles, and then I'll give you a third way to win at the end. But if any of you have been heat embossing for a little while and you know of a way that we can improve our heat embossing, maybe you've got a little tip for us that you've learned that's helped you, please do make sure you let me know. Now I just twisted my plate ever so slightly, so I just need to catch the end there. And there we go. Lovely. So pop that back out the way, and now I have my panel with the perfect outline all the way around the edge there. Okay, so pop the waste away, and now we're going to do some embossing. I have already embossed this in gold, okay, just plain gold. This is simply by adding my clear ink all over and adding my gold powder on. If you've never seen heat embossing before, it's such an amazing technique. This is what drew me in to card making, to paper craft from the very beginning. But I'm going to do this one a little bit differently, okay? So I'm not going to cover it with the embossing powder. I'm actually going to partly cover it. So I'm just going to take a sheet of cardstock. This is a green, just scrap cardstock there, so I can do this. Now I am going to add my clear embossing ink all over, as you would. And I'm actually using a slightly textured cardstock here as well. So this is the WOW embossing powder. We have some fantastic deals on WOW products at the moment. Go and have a look, but that embossing powder offer is amazing. Okay, now what I'm going to do with my ink all over that, I'm going to bring it over to my tray. This is the CraftStash Essentials tray, just for catching your beads, your embossing powder, your glitters, things like that with the funnel. I'm not sure if it's in stock. It did go out of stock, so I'm not sure if it's in again, but I managed to grab mine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some silver embossing powder over this, but I'm not going to put it all over. Can you see? I'm being a bit patchy with it. I'm sprinkling it. I'm quickly going to tip that off. If you get a little bit heavy-handed with that and you've accidentally put too much on, say for example in this area, you can simply brush off some areas if you want to. Okay, there we go. So I've got a patchy finish to that. Now, unfortunately, because of the way the show's going, I am going to be doing some heat embossing. That means I am going to be using my heat tool. I've got the WOW heat tool. It's not ridiculously loud, but unfortunately with my microphone on my chest as such, you most likely will hear a lot of heat embossing, a lot of the heat tool, and much less of me. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to back off a little bit here. I'm just going to take my tweezers. There we go, just grab that where there's no powder, and I'm going to heat set this. Now you can do this from the top or you can do it from the bottom. It's entirely up to you. There is no preference really with this. There's cardstock's nice and thin. It's a little bit flippy floppy around, isn't it? So I might just go from the top. So I'll do this and I'll try to keep it as away from the microphone as possible for you. It would actually be really handy if you could let me know whether or not you can hear me while this is on, because hopefully the microphone is closer to me than it is the heat tool there. So I've got this on the lower speed, so it's not too noisy for you all. And if you hold it as parallel as you can to the paper, you actually heat quicker because the hot air isn't directed just in one area, it's kind of going over the surface of the paper. So I'm just catching smaller areas of this, not the entire piece of paper. I'll just move my tweezers. Now with this, usually I wouldn't need to hold it too much, but I am holding it a little area just in case if it blows across the studio, then you'll have fun waiting for me to go and catch it. So you see that. I love heat embossing. When did you first see heat embossing? Do you remember? Because I think most people remember or recall when they first saw the technique being done and what they thought of it. Not everybody, but most people will remember. Now the thing to remember is that embossing powder, when it's melted, is a resist. Okay, so it will then resist all of your water-based inks, your paints and things like that, which is where you can really start to have fun and play with adding colour into the background or mixing colours in to your project. I'm nearly done here. This is a large panel, so it's taken a little while to get through. There we go. Just about done, making sure everything's heated. Now there's two variations of heating. If you heat the correct amount, the proper amount, you will get a lovely smooth finish. But you can also purposely just start to heat so it just melts and takes, and then it still remains a little bit bumpy. Now as you can see, I've got some gaps in that, and as you heard, that was completely intentional. Now I am going to take let's work with a brown. Let's bring in a foam tool, and I need a resist mat. If I can find what I've done with that. There it is. I've got that out already. I was that prepared. And what I'm going to do now is rub some brown ink into the areas where I didn't sprinkle any powder on. Okay, so it's quite random, and you'll find the ink will glide over and off of any of the parts that have embossing powder on. So it's really, really easy to pick out. You could do this with a darker colour if you prefer. It looks lovely when it's done with a black as well, because it looks like it's really old, really aged. So you can use a brush blender if that's what you prefer to use to do your ink blending. It's entirely up to you. The ink does need to be water-based. So if you were to use, for example, a StazOn or an alcohol-based ink, that would of course then hold on to the embossing powder and eventually dry. So that wouldn't give us the effect that we're looking for here. So I will hold this up in a second and hopefully you'll be able to see it. Let's pop that away. Can you see there? Let's pop that against the green. Does that help at all? Can you see? We've now got a rusted metal effect. Okay, and that's just one layer. I love that look. I absolutely love that. Okay, let's pop these away for a second, and let's now, oh right, oh, we're getting some of the first time you saw heat embossing. Where am I? Ooh, oh, a class 15 years ago, Karina says. I've asked you a few questions, haven't I? I've got lots of answers. Yep. Jenny never gets tired of watching embossing powder melt. I love it. I absolutely love it. There's a tip. Okay. So this is from, oh, I can't seem to see your name. It's not letting me. For a cheap recycling idea, instead of buying wax paper to facilitate the cutting out of intricate filigree dies, use the peel off strips from the back of panty liners. Oh, I didn't know that works. Have to try that. That is absolutely brilliant. And that was from Jane. Thank you very much, Jane, for that. It's all handy, isn't it? I suppose like any sort of non-stick thing like that would work. I don't know. try it everybody, let me know. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to adhere my first gold panel that I completely embossed in one colour over my aperture in my card. So I need to bring out my, where are you? I'm not talking to you everybody, I know where you are, I'm talking to my glue because it's hiding. I'm going to bring out my glue, and I do have the fine tip nozzle on here. Oh, do you know what, it's raining. I can hear the rain. You might all hear the rain soon as well, because it's usually quite loud when it gets going here. So I'm just going around the larger areas of the back of this panel. This was that textured cardstock, just a plain white cardstock. I think it was something like the Sizzix cardstock, so it's got a little bit of a groove to it. That's not the word, is it? A texture to it. Lovely quality cardstock. So just over those larger areas, and then I'm going to adhere this down directly over the aperture. Now you could mask the actual card aperture off if you wanted to and heat emboss that, but I just found it easier to cut a second one. Now I'm also going to slide this ever so slightly up and to the left. I don't know my left and right. Ever so slightly. This is then going to give you a very slight shadow. Okay, you see that? And then let's bring in our other embossed cogs design. And I'm not going to put this directly over there. I'm actually going to twist this and put it over this way. So as we look through, it just looks like you've got cogs after cogs after cogs. And ideally, I would love to sit and put that on with foam tape, but I don't think my foam tape is going to be thin enough. Shall we have a go? Let's see. I think my borders are ever so slightly too long. Now you can use a decoupage glue, otherwise, if you've got that, or a silicone glue if you've got a fine tip nozzle on it. You could go in with your foam pads if you're super quick or super detailed, if you're quite happy to cut them up and make them really thin. So just going to go around the edge of this one, and then I'll probably pop one little bit of foam tape right in the middle just to hold that up so that it doesn't bow on the card. But I think having the drop shadow between really does make such a difference. Popping that on there, and then a little piece just in the middle here so that that doesn't bow too much. Okay, so that's the correct way, and then just put that on here. Now this would look brilliant. I haven't got a piece ready. In fact, I can take a piece probably from my paper pad, but with a darker colour underneath on the inside of the card. If you can put a darker colour in there, and then you've got that those dark shadows inside, so it looks as if you are looking into the workings of a clock or something like that. I love the whole steampunk theme. I think it just works so well for so many different things. So just popping that on there directly over the gold one. There we go. So we can look through. You can see my hand through it. Let's take from my paper pad, if I can find the pads. There we go. Let's take a dark piece. I think this one's going to work really well inside, and that will just give us, can you see that darker area inside? So lovely. Okay, let's glue that in. I believe this should be A5 already. Yes, it is. Perfect size. So next, when I finish this card, I'm going to be doing a couple of techniques for you with embossing powders. So make sure you stay around for those. I think we've already got lots and lots of people commenting for that bundle. The bundle was a 12 by 12 Craft Consortium paper pack, a WOW embossing powder bundle as well. That's going to be amazing. So that's the ink pad, the pen and the clear embossing powder, and then the alphabet stamps and dies from my Texture Steampunk range. So all of those pieces are included in a bundle that 2 of you are going to win today, and then 1 of you can win later on. I'll send you over for the details of that later. And all of the Steampunk collection that I'm showing you, you can get 35% off at the moment using the code SP35. Now, talking about that pen, I want to show you how that pen works. So I'll just do a quick tidy up so I can stay on track of what I'm doing. I've got a little bag beside me for my rubbish. Aren't I doing good today? So I have got a piece of the grey board. This is the grey board that comes from the Steampunk collection. It's a very fine clock face. I don't know if you can tell on there. I've just picked out the numerals there to heat emboss. It's really easy to do when you use your WOW embossing pen. Okay, so all you need to do is go. Now on grey boards, the ink of course will dry relatively quickly, so I would suggest if you're doing something like this onto a very porous surface that you just do 2 or maybe 3 or 4 numerals at a time, no more than that, and just sprinkle that on. So now we've just, oops, put it on my table, we've just picked out a tiny little bit of the detail to heat emboss, so you don't have to heat emboss everything, and you don't have to then also be masking areas off. So you can add the smallest detail. It's a little bullet nib on the end of the pen. Do you know what this pen, I think I'm right in saying this pen is £2.99. I mean, what a bargain if you do like your heat embossing. So now I've got gold numerals around there, but I've also got that feel of the chipboard, the rustic chipboard. There's no metallic on that, and I really like that effect against the metal, the two of them. So I think for Father's Day, if you're wondering about what to do, mixing your metals with your raw materials, like your wood, like your grey board. I keep saying chipboard, but it's actually grey board. I think that's a really good way to go. So let's put this the right way round. That just works really well, doesn't it? With the gold and the silver. Do you know what? Mixing your metals. I know we always say with our jewellery, don't mix your metals, but I think you absolutely can. Do not worry about that. Let's just have a quick look at the comments. When I first saw, this is from Sue Pollock, when I first saw embossing powder, I didn't realise I had to use a heat gun and just used it without. I wondered why it was coming off. Oh no, were you using it with a hairdryer? Yeah, that's not a good idea, is it? A hairdryer is the worst thing you can use. So a hairdryer is not hot enough, and it will also just blow everything around. Now I'm just working out, I'm actually going to use my cloud glue, I think, just to put down this grey board because it is so porous. Hot glue gun would work as well. You can do it with wet glue, any wet glue, like your Cosmic Shimmer for example, but I want this to stick and hold straight away. So put my 12 at the top there, and then I've got some of the cogs and gears, and I'm just going to scatter those around. That's a larger one, so we'll put a larger one to the bottom. Now the grey board has a slight, you can bend it, it's not too stiff, it's not like a really thick chipboard, so you can shape it around things if you need to. So I'm just shaping it and pressing it into where it needs to be, and I'm layering up those cogs there. I have a couple more here, so these are all included in that grey board pack. Let's say 35% off using the code SP35 off of the Steampunk collection, which I think just works so well, doesn't it, for Father's Day. Now, I did say to you we would have a look at those letters. I've got them here. They've all been moved around. Oh, there we go. I do have the third D. So that is Have a Wonderful Day, which actually comes from the typewriter set that we were looking at, and it's that fantastic sort of typed alphabet, isn't it? Typed font. It's a little bit distressed. It's not absolutely perfect. And these are the letters. Now hopefully you can clearly see with the black and the white that we've got those cogs in there. These look so good when they are embossed. Trust me, they look amazing embossed. Even if they're embossed gold onto a brown cardstock or whatever it may be, they look fantastic. So, and they are all individual, and you've got the dies there as well if you want them to cut those out. So have a wonderful day. I'm just going to brush around the edge of this, my brown that's just remaining on my pads there from where I did the brown into, or the rust effect into the silver earlier. And I'm just going to have a play with positioning these D-A-D. I shouldn't get that spelling wrong, should I? You never know. You never know. I do have days. I think I might want to layer these up a little bit. We could do have one. I think I want it all over here. Let's see. Any preference? Anybody? Does anybody? I think I need to fill that space there first of all. So let's pop those down. Dad. Of course, this could say anything because you've got the alphabet. You can make up your own sentiments, your own words, your own names. If you want to do it for Doug or Chris or David, or maybe it's a Susan, whoever it may be, you can write your own words with your own letters, and that just makes personalising so much easier. If you do sell your cards, of course, you can then sell them for even more because you've got that personalised aspect of them. Or maybe scrapbooking, maybe it's not. Oh, that could go. Have they one? Yeah, I like that. That way. Maybe you're doing scrapbooking, you want to personalise by adding a place name, a time, a date, something that's really personal to you, something that won't be in stamp form or die form already. You can do that with alphabet dies. So just adding the sentiment there with a couple of snips of my foam tape. I've just ordered another 10 rolls of foam tape from CraftStash this morning. I love their tape. It comes away so easily as well. There we go. Okay, let's lift that up and see. There we go. So we've got that look through. If I open that up, you can see that is an entire look through with all the cogs and gears, and then you've got all the steampunk on the front as well. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Gift Goonie. I've not seen your name before. Welcome to you. Anne Dawson said stamps and dies are fantastic. Yeah, brilliant, lovely. Shall we move straight on to some heat embossing techniques? Just a couple I've got for you. Put that aside to dry. The first one I want to show you is, you may have seen it before. This is going to use, well, they're both going to use the heat tool. I'm going to show you how I made this in seconds. I said I'd show you that, didn't I? So that's a K, using those letters that I've got, the alphabet letters that we were looking at. But I'm using the embossing powders. Now, let's bring in, we do need an embossing pad. You can, of course, use your pen for this if you prefer. Embossing pad is fine. I've used a copper embossing powder. You can use any colour you like, it's entirely your preference. I'll use copper just so you can see the exact way I got that. Now, tweezers are a must for this, and you'll see why in a moment. And of course, I've got my heat gun. So this is a bit like making your own wax seal. If you want this to be more like a wax seal, you can cut that into a circle, or I would do a slightly off circle, so it's not perfect, so it's got raggedy edges, but I've just die cut a little heart there. This is from the Creative, some of the nesting dies, this heart. So I'm just going to press, it is a little scrap of adorable scorable look, so I've got the black, glossy black on the other side, but just covering, ensuring I cover my whole heart with embossing ink there. And then I'm going to pour quite a lot of powder on top. Okay, the reason I'm putting quite a lot on there is because I want to reuse the powder left in the tray in a moment. All right, I don't want to have to keep applying more. There we go. So now, carefully just lifting this just at the edge. Now I'm going to quickly heat this up. So I'm going to do it from underneath for a moment, but I will be doing it from above as well. Hopefully, like I say, hopefully you can still hear me. Look at that go. Can you see that? Can you see that? I don't know. I'm not sure if you can see it changing, but it looks amazing. So we have got there, that's all there. Now you can see, can't you? So I'm just going to heat the top of that now just for a moment. Try not to blow any of my powder around. Okay, and while that's really, really warm, I'm just going to dip that there into the powder and go again. So that wet, melted, hot powder that was still liquid has picked up some more. And we're going to heat that all up again. Okay, and let's go again. This is why I wanted lots of powder in my tray. Just going to put the tray to the side because the lead on my heat tool is only so long. You see, you start getting texture in there where you're getting more and more build up. That's fine. That will smooth out to a point anyway. And let's go once more. There we go. So heat all of that up. Now I'm going to put this down because I've got a little piece here where my tweezers were. So I just want to try and smooth that off as much as possible. There we go. Okay, now that's melted. So my stamps are photopolymer. That is a really, really good quality stamp. I'm keeping this embossing powder warm. And let's just pressing that K, that letter K, it could be any letter, into powder there, the melted powder. All right, sorry if you didn't hear too much of that while I was heating that up. Hopefully you heard the basics. So what I'm going to do is just leave that to cool for a second, okay, while I pop this powder back. There's many, many, many different metallic powders over on CraftStash, and if you're purchasing more than £15 worth of embossing powders from those selected ones, just go to craftstash.co.uk or craftstash.us. On the front banner, on the home page that tells you about embossing powders, click on that. That will take you to a link with all of those embossing powders in there. Put £15 worth of them into your basket, and you will then get a choice of, I think there's 8, so you can choose one of those 8 embossing powders to get completely for free. Now let's peel this off. I want to do this close but still in focus. Can you see that? You've got the K there all embedded in. And then what I did with this one there is I took just a little bit of wax, tiny little bit of wax there, and I just brushed that over the surface, picking up the raised detail, picking up the detail of the cogs. So I just brushed that over, I worked that in until it was all smooth, and then that was the result. And I just love that to pop on the back of an envelope or to pop on a card. That could be, it could be that, you know, your dad's first name is K or whatever it may be, and that can be added then to your card as an embellishment. So there's one way you can use embossing powders besides the normal way as such. Let me show you something else as well. We do not need our ink for this at all. All we need for this is some double-sided tape. Geraldine, you lost Facebook for a while. I hope nobody else lost it. I hope this is all holding okay. The weather is pretty rubbish here now, so fingers crossed it will hold out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this tape down, but I'm screwing it up as I go. If you've got a large piece of double-sided tape, that is absolutely perfect, but it does need to be double-sided. Okay, so there's one. Pressing that down, can you see how crumpled that is? When we try to put tape down, usually we try to avoid that look, don't we? Try to put it down as smooth as possible. We're intentionally trying to fold it and screw it up. So then just gently releasing the backing paper, and you'll get lots of peaks within the tape there as you go along. Let's just gently get this one out. Come on, come away, there we go. And we can just press that down, and then I'm just going to add another strip as well in exactly the same way, just sort of trying to crumple it up as we go in different directions, which completely goes against my natural crafting because I should be putting tape down very smooth. And then again, lift off the backing. I just use CraftStash double-sided tape for this. It works really well. Anything you've got at home, or if you don't have, definitely stock up on your adhesives over at CraftStash. So peel that off gently, because you screwed it up, it doesn't come off as smoothly, of course, as if you'd laid it down perfectly flat. There we go. Okay, now let's pop some powder over that and have a look at the effect when we finish. I'm going to bring in my tidy tray. How are we doing for time? We've done 36 minutes already. Rachel, you have to go to work now. Thanks for the demos. Thank you. Have a good day at work, Rachel. You can always watch back later. And if you are the winner, we'll be announcing you at the end. So I'd scroll to the end later and just see see if your name's read out. But yeah, you can absolutely catch up later. You've never seen this done with double-sided tape before? No, I love the effect. If you are creating something for a teenager or a masculine effect, maybe you're well. So let's heat this up. Here we go. Yeah, I've already answered you, Joan, which double-sided tape. It will work with any, but I love CraftStashes. I think their tapes are brilliant and the prices are fantastic as well. So just as I heat that up, I'm going to hold this, hopefully, in a way so you can see it melting. How's that? Can you see the reflection from the lights there now? Isn't that just gorgeous? So I didn't press the tape down too much. I left it quite crumpled up there. Just getting to the end. If you hold it on the tape too long, it could start to crease up, sort of start to shrink a little bit. But yeah, and there you go. That's now completely not sticky. I've got gaps in that one. There's no gaps in that one. It's a little bit flatter. I did flatten that one out a bit more so you can see the effect of them. They look great for metal strips on cards if you are doing things for the gentleman. Do you know what, actually they look really lovely for anything, don't they? They would look great if you've got a bunch of flowers and you want to put what looks like a foiled ribbon around it or fluttering near it. They would look brilliant for that as well, wouldn't they? So there we go. Let's see. Sally says, loving new ideas, just need time to have a go. I know. Irene's impressed. I'm glad you are. Yeah, Stephanie, they do look like foiled ribbons, don't they? If you've got balloons or something you want to have foiled ribbon coming off them, streamers for parties, wouldn't they look cool? Okay, so let's pop those to the side as well. Shall we move on to my last demonstration? Is going to be a card. I'm going to be working with, well, let's start with the textures. Let's delve into my textures. Oh, all of these. This is the whole collection. There's a lot in here. That's the card we made previously. I will take photos of the card as well so they can be posted up so you can see them in more detail, because sometimes people are watching maybe on a phone and it's not quite as clear as you'd like. There we go. So I have got the stamp and the die for the typewriter. I didn't show you, there's another die missing here. I wonder where I've put that. It's actually, or did we see it, the typewriter that was just the body of the typewriter. I think we missed it. I need to find that. There is another typewriter die set, everybody, on CraftStash, and it's actually got the detail that cuts out and the paper cuts out separately, and then there's some words in there as well, but that matches with this, so you can stamp this and then cut out just the typewriter on its own, and then there's a slot in the top to put the little bit of paper afterwards. Okay, so it's well worth, if you're looking at purchasing this one with that 35% off, that's the code SP35, looking at the outline die, but then of course looking for the detail die as well, because they make a really great combo between the three of them. So I have got the outline die here, okay, and I'll be using that, but let's stamp this first and you can see the detail. I am so impressed with the amount of detail that is in this stamp set here. It's gorgeous. I cleaned this up especially for you, everybody, as well. It was black because I usually use a black ink. Now I'm actually going to be stamping this onto a white cardstock but with a clear ink, because I'm going to be embossing it, just because I love the embossing, but I talked earlier about embossing being a resist, so I'm going to use that technique. So you'll see the detail once I add in the powder. This is probably the messiest I think I've ever crafted, probably because I'm on my own, so I don't have time to tidy up between demonstrations and things. But with embossing powder and ink and things like this, when I start adding mixed mediums in, that's when I start getting messy, and I really want to have a little tidy up, but I've got to stop myself from trying to tidy up. So I've got clear ink, that's that WOW ink. There are other clear embossing powders, of course, over on CraftStash. CraftStash have so many thousands and thousands of products. We're not limiting you to just WOW. I love the brand, whether it's the powder, the pen, the heat tool, whatever it may be. I love them, but there are alternatives over on there as well. Okay, so make sure you have a look for all of those. They do come under brands, so you can go and look up all the embossing powders, all the heat tools in one place if you want to. So let's add this black now from WOW. I'm going to use the black powder. I actually purchased the powders where you get 6 of them in a pack. You can imagine when that's stamped how clear that detail is. Isn't that lovely? So let me heat set this. The powder, the WOW powder, sorry, the embossing ink stays wet for such a long time. You're going to be absolutely fine for just tidying up before you heat set, as long as you've not gone onto a really porous surface, like I said earlier about the grey board. So if you're just going on a smooth cardstock, you should be fine for a couple of minutes before you get this heated up. Now, I must admit with this, because it just turns to a gloss, you're not going to see a great deal in the way of this heating up. So you can go from above, but some people also like to heat from underneath. I don't know whether you'll be able to see any more, but you do have to wait for the heat to actually travel through the paper before that starts to melt. I'm not sure if you will be able to see. Oh yeah, you can just see the gloss in the middle there where I'm doing it at the moment. I think this is going to be a bit more interesting for you. So this heat tool here has 2 speed settings. I'm going to just pop it up to the 2nd speed setting because again this is a large image and it will just be a little bit quicker for you, but it's going to be noisier, so just bear with me. There we go, much quicker on that setting, but again a little bit noisier as well. So we've now got the gloss finish. You can just see that in some of the larger, denser areas there. I'm going to cut that out using the typewriter die here. What other offers do I need to remind you of? So the Craft Consortium papers, those essential papers, and they are the ones that have the wood grain, the metal, if we've got any of those left, the ink drops, the new ink drops. I think most of them have sold out. We did still have one of the 6x6s in stock at the beginning of this hour, but they may well have gone now. But they are all 15% off, those essential papers. I love them. I am such a huge fan because I just think they work with every crafters. Jackie Gray has never embossed before. You've given me the confidence to have a try. Absolutely, do have a try. You're going to love it. And do you know what? If you win this bundle, Jackie, then you've got everything that you need to get going already. We are giving away a clear embossing powder, so you may want to think about purchasing some colours as well. But like I say, I would highly recommend that set from WOW that has the 6 powders in, because that is a really good priced bundle. There we go. Pop my rubbish in the bin. So that's how that die works. It just cuts out that typewriter absolutely perfectly. Didn't take much to line that up either. You can really clearly see where you're going with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some colour to this, and because the embossing is a resist, you're going to resist that and the colour's just going to go down into the background. So let's take, I had them out already. Here we go. I'm going to take a teal colour. Let's take peacock feathers, and let's find the right blending tool that was here earlier, and of course it's now gone. Walkabouts. That always happens. As soon as I'm live, things go missing. I'm going to have to use a blue. It's close enough. I'll give it a wash afterwards. I've probably put it somewhere sensible so that I knew where it was. Okay, so now look at this. If we go over this, I can pick out some gorgeous detail in the typewriter, add colour to the typewriter, The detail is not at all hidden. Now I'm going to only go over the bottom there, so you can see, but you've still got all of that detail completely resisting the ink. So we've just added a little bit of colour to that. You can do the same to the paper as well if you wanted to. Now let's use the pen again. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to do some little little flicks. I just thought I'd just put that ink on, so this might be a little bit too damp still, but we'll brush that off and put a little bit of silver or a little bit of pen just where you want some silver to be afterwards. So silver embossing powder just over the keys there and over these top bits where I just added the pen. It's a very small amount, it's going to be ever so subtle. Brush off the excess, because you will have excess, because I've only just heated up some of those areas, so there'll still be a little bit warm, a little bit sticky, but there, just left it where the pen is. Pop these down. Can anyone hear the rain? It's actually really relaxing, besides the fact I was going to go for a run this evening. We shall see, because I won't be running in that. And then I'm going to just heat set those little bits as well. So just use the low setting, it's nice and warm now. Make sure you remove any splatters of powder from anywhere you don't want it to be, because they will show up much more once they're heat set and you won't be able to remove them. It's the thing with embossing powder, you will not remove it once it's down, which isn't a bad thing unless you make a mistake. And I'll hold this up in just a second and show you what I've done with this silver powder using that pen, so you can really highlight small areas. You can just highlight tiny areas if you want to with metallic. Now imagine on your flowers you can highlight the edges of the flowers or the centres, or little gold highlights on green leaves, whatever it may be. So I've just got a little bit around the keys, the ends there, both dials at the end are now metallic, and the bar across the middle is silver as well. Obviously it's harder to tell with the shine of the light, but they are there and they are ready. Okay, one more technique I want to show you. I need to bring in, let's work with these. I need to bring in one of these, and I'm going to go with, I can't decide. I did use one earlier, I think it was this one. I need to stick with the same one. Now, you can also do a bit of a splatter technique with embossing powders. Okay, I'm going to use a black, because what I want it to look like is as if the typewriter has been stamped on or drawn on and there's some splats of ink behind it. Okay, so just have a little rough look at where this is going to go, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of powder on there, give it a shake just to spread it, and use my hand a little bit. There we go. Okay, and when you're happy with the shape of your powder, there's no ink on there, there's nothing holding it on, it's just balancing on. I'm going to heat this from underneath. Okay, so just on the first setting, because this is quite a thin paper, it's not a thick cardstock. I'm hoping we can watch that melt. It's quite thick in places, so just bear with it. It does take a little while because you're having to go through the paper until you start to get the heat into that powder. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it starting to melt. I can see it now. In the top right hand corner, it probably just looks all black. You'll see it in a moment. I wish there was a way I could show you this without tipping it up. Yeah, of course, if I tip it up, it's all going to come away, so bear with it. You don't want to heat this from the top. Obviously, if you were to heat this from the top, you're going to risk that all blowing away, and you'll never get that back in the pot. Be careful as well, because you don't want to burn your paper either. Okay, last little bit. There we go. I think that end might have a few little pieces that haven't quite set. Now, can you see? Oh, there we go, look. If I just catch the light, where was it? The caught the light. There we go. You can see that's now liquid. That is going to take, oh, I've just dropped my heat tool. Don't think I need to use it again now anyway. That is going to take a moment to dry, but how cool does that look as a splat if you put that over the top? Now I've already got a sheet of this that is set, all cooled, all set with 2 splats, one in the top, one in the bottom there. And then I've got a black mat for the back. But before I stick all this together, how cool does that look? We need to stamp in here a sentiment. So I think we're going to come to these sentiments here. Let's turn these the right way round. A special message, thank you. Just a note to say, have a wonderful day. Congratulations, this is our story. Happy birthday, or you are just my type. Let's do happy birthday. And then let's also write a word into, let's put that on there, into this paper. So happy birthday, we need to hold this down. And then I also want my alphabet stamps. We're going to add, maybe let's add the word sun. See, this doesn't have to be for Father's Day. It can just be, oh no, look at that. It can just be a card for a man. I am just going to spend a second picking up the powder that I've just spilt. It's got the most of it, flicking it up, because it's a new pot and I will kick myself if I lose too much of it. This is why you clear up as soon as possible, everybody. There we go. It's not too bad, it's not too drastic. So happy birthday, and then I'm going to use the letters sun. Obviously there's only so many letters you can stamp onto here. S, will it fit? I think it will just fit, but I adore these letters just because you've got the little cogs, sorry, I don't like saying little cogs inside. If they don't quite fit, we'll do the O and then we'll do the N. Yeah, so that what we'll do, we'll pop those to the side. We'll do the O first and then we'll add the S and the N afterwards and slightly overlap them. Okay, so just using the stamp platform. There we go, straighten that up a little bit. That went a little bit skew-iff. Oh, my H is still a bit. That'll do, that'll do. So now I'm not going to do the heat embossing, I'm just going to use the stamping here. Let me see some comments. There's lots and lots. I'm sorry, I've missed so many of you. Yeah, Natalie, she's rubbing it in now. She always puts the lids back on straight away because she always tips them out. Yeah, usually when I'm at home, I'm really good at cleaning up around myself. Not today, clearly. Let's put that there. Let's not put that there because my O wants to go there. There we go. So, happy birthday, O. I mean, it could be for someone with the initial O. Hopefully you can see there those wonderful cogs inside the gears. I'm just going to take a wet wipe and I'm going to take my own advice about clearing up as I go. So clean that up. One on there and one on there. And then I've got my S and my N, so I can now see, because the stamps have a slight outline, so when you try to put them together, of course you can't quite get them close enough sometimes to fit on your project, but when you do them with a gap in between, then they will fit much better. So I'm a little bit off to the what's that way? Right with this. I do not know my left and rights at all. Does anyone else struggle with that? Is that just me? When I was learning to drive, it was the worst because I had to wear a ring on my right finger just so that I knew which way right was, so I didn't forget it during my driving test. Happy birthday, sun. Hopefully, if I hold that up for you, you can see all the little cogs inside the letters. Again, I will tidy that up. in a little while. Let's finish putting this card together. So what have I not mentioned for anyone who's just joining us? The Steampunk collection that I'm working with, that's the typewriter and the clocks and all of the cogs and the gears. This is all 35% off when you're using the code SP35 over at craftstash.co.uk. And the big bundle for the Steampunk collection actually has £35 off at the moment. I believe that lasts until the 11th, so grab that quickly. And then we have up to 60% off of the creative textures embossing folders. They're amazing. And the the creative for the men dies. Now they're brilliant if you've got a gentleman's occasion coming up, or teenagers as well. They work really well for those. So up to 60% off of those. If you are using embossing or putting embossing powders into your basket and you're taking them from that selection on the website, you can put in £15 worth of powders and get a free powder as well. And the colours are amazing. I left my lid up on my glue, so let's give that a wipe and freshen that up. So that's a free embossing powder for anyone if you're putting your £15 worth of powders in, but that covers lots of different ranges as well. There's the Tonic Nouveau ones, there's the WOW, Sizzix, Ranger, Cosmic Shimmer in there, and then this paper, this particular paper that I'm using here, the alcohol ink or the ink drops, as you can see underneath, that and some of the other essential papers from Craft Consortium are all 15% off. There we go. So hopefully you have learnt something today when it comes to your heat embossing or your stamping or something like that. Hopefully I've managed to teach you a little something. Let's just roll the corners of that. So what have we done? So we have created this card here with the splatter of the embossing powders and some stamping, and then some embossing powder resist. We have created the metal ribbon pieces, metal sheeting, whatever you want to call that. I'm not sure. Oh, here they are, look. We have created little like wax seals, personalized, and then somewhere in here I've also got a card, the first card that I made here as well for Dad, with those panels inside that you can look through. And then there's that rusty metal look by just partially embossing, putting embossing powder on some of the image and then rubbing brown ink, or it could be a darker colour ink, or you could go with the blue or green, have a patina ink rubbed into the silver, into those gaps there to really pull that colour out. So that's everything that we've done today. I've got an awful lot of mess to clear up. Let me just see if we have got some winners yet. Oh, I think we have. Let's come back then. Let's see what sort of state I'm in. Look, not too frazzled, fairly calm, I think. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. So we have two winners now. You lovely, you're both ladies, so I can say you, but lovely ladies are going to win that selection of goodies. That is over £40 worth. That's a Father's Day bundle. So it's the papers, the textures products, and the WOW embossing products as well. They'll be coming out to you very soon. So that is from YouTube, Louise Noah. Congratulations to you. And from Facebook, Karina Nally, or Nally, either way, you know who you are. Please both message us and we will send those prizes out. Now, for all of you, I did mention a third chance to win that big bundle. Okay, now one of you is going to be chosen next Friday. What you need to do is go over to the CraftStash blog. Yes, we have a blog. That is at craftstash.co.uk/inspiration, and you will find the post there. It's simply entering your details and we will put you in the hat to win. So if you have missed this live, you do have your alternative chance to win a giveaway. I think that is everything from me today, because I've gone through all of my demonstrations and everything. I haven't got too much more to show you now, so hopefully that's given you some Father's Day inspiration. I hope you have a lovely weekend, everybody. I will be back with you, of course, for What's Hot on Tuesday at the new time of 11 AM, so make sure you pop that in your diary and don't miss that. Again, more amazing deals and offers. Keep an eye over the weekend. You never know, there may be some deals that take your fancy over at craftstash.co.uk, and I absolutely 100% suggest signing up to the emails so that you can keep on track of all of the new offers. If you are an early bird, before the emails even come out, if you pop onto CraftStash in the morning onto the actual website and go to new products, they are uploaded very, very quickly before the email even goes out to everyone else. So if there's a new product you've been waiting for to come in, check that each morning and you may well see what you're waiting for. I will see you again on Tuesday, so have a lovely weekend everybody. I hope the weather's